Welcome guys, my name is Thomas and today I'm going to show you something super special. It's the Thypoch Eureka 50mm lens for Leica M cameras. And yeah, I'm super thrilled again as always because, look at the packaging. It says, a puzzle to decode, a riddle to be figured out, a hidden message, a subtle clue, a lens, and epoch. That can mean anything or nothing, and yeah, it made me pretty curious, I have to say. Let's have a go. So what possibly could Thypoch aim for with this lens? Look at it. And there is a twist. Yeah, it's collapsible. It's a 50mm f2 lens and it's collapsible. Just like the classic Leica lenses of the 30s, 40s, and for the very early ones for Leica M as well, there was a collapsible 50mm lens back then. And that's what Thypoch is doing. They're going back to the design clues of the 1950s. I think it looks perfect on a chrome camera like this. This is a chrome M6 TTL. It will look equally perfect on any M3, M4, M6, MP, MA, or on digital cameras, especially the chrome ones. But it's got pretty modern optics, so you're getting the 1950s look and feel, but you're getting modern optics. That's the idea. And with modern, I don't mean they're not aiming to do like a spherical Apo, whatever, super lens for $6,000 that no one needs, in my opinion. But what they're aiming for is a performance that's on par with maybe around year 2000 sort of lens design. So very, very good. Still with a hint of charm, small slight imperfections, just a super nice balance of the old and the new. That is what they're aiming for in optics. And yeah, we have to find out if they succeeded. Let's see how good this thing is in reality. First things first, I got this lens, the 50mm f2, and also a Thypoch Samira lens 28 f1.4 for evaluation. Many thanks to Thypoch for your support. I got these lenses for the course of 2 months, so I could really shoot them in real world situations. I ran a couple of films through this M6 TTL in various locations, and after that I sent them back. But again, many thanks for your support that I'm able to review these lenses, and I show you all the results as detailed as I can. Again, this is a review on film cameras. If you're looking for digital reviews, I think you'll find plenty of them elsewhere. In your hand, beautiful. You have to remove the lens cap, then you can pull out the lens, turn it until it clicks in place. Beautiful. You've got, I think this is the E39 standard Leica. Well, there is no threads in it. So filter only snap-on filters. There is no threads where you could attach a filter. A stepless aperture. You see this logarithmic scale here? So between 2 and 2.8, the distance is much larger. 4 is also large, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. No click stops on this, in line with classic Leica lenses from the 30s, 40s, 50s. Focusing, you have to press this tab to get out of infinity. It's locked in infinity unless you press it. Now you can focus to any other distance. The focusing is super smooth and it stops at around 1 meter, maybe 0.9 meters, not 0.7. That's a little bit of pity. Again, past 10, you feel the resistance. Past 10 meters, and it wants to snap into place. This is a very classic design, and Leica omitted this starting in the 60s. But this lens, again, it pays homage to the classic designs, and it's got this focusing tab. I think in this lens it's fitting. The mechanical construction, as you can see, well, the finish is beautiful. Everything is engraved very, very finely. The font is a very neutral font. It's not a copy of the Leica font as you maybe, for example, see in TT Artisan lenses. Again, this font also fits the classic style. The Leica font, as you see here, this typical modern Leica font, it wasn't there in the 1950s. So this lens, again, I think they did a good job in selecting this font face. It's got a chromed ring here. It says Eureka. 1.1 to 250. I think this ring in theory would be better in black because maybe there could be reflections into the lens from a chrome ring, but I don't think it matters. And again, optical performance is really nice. The rear of the lens, nothing special here, a classic Leica M mount, and here you see, of course, this part for focusing. Everything is just like in any Leica M lens. And try to show you the aperture. Now you can see it. A very nice, pretty rounded aperture with 12 aperture blades. Makes for a nice background blur, background bokeh balls, however you want to call these guys, even when you step down a little bit. Great. I'm a real fan of this lens. If I shoot Leica M cameras, this is the sort of lens I would want to have on it. The precision of focusing is very good, so this lens is perfectly calibrated. Again, this is a sample lens, but I never read anything about problems with Thypoch lenses there. Seems they make a pretty good job in calibration. So there are no focusing issues. A 50mm lens is also super nice to shoot on a Leica M camera. The frame lines are pretty large, but you still have the surrounding area where you can anticipate if someone is walking into your shot or how the street scene is developing. So that is a cool aspect. And this lens is pretty compact, so as you also can see, there is no intrusion of the lens in the viewfinder into your frame lines. It's a pretty small lens and a little bit tapered, and yeah. So it's super easy on the street, and it has exactly the sort of proportions and size that I personally prefer on Leica M cameras. I like lenses like this. I like this compact, lightweight, small style of lenses, much more than the bulky ones. Super good, nice to shoot, great companion for everyday shooting. One thing about the aperturing, this is 2 to 16, and you see it's a sort of a logarithmic scale. Not everyone loves that, but again, they are totally in line with how original Leica glass was back in the 50s. They also had a logarithmic scale before they changed to the more modern equidistant aperture numbers. And this is also clickless. I'm not a huge fan of clickless apertures in photography. Again, they are in line with how 1950s lenses were. They just stick to the original here. But very personally, I prefer clicked apertures. In terms of focusing, we have a small downside again, because Thypoch is really sticking to the 1950s originals here. This thing focuses down to 1 meter, not 0.7 meters. One of the reasons why I'm not such a big Leica M shooter is the close focusing, because I even find 0.7 meters is too far away. But 1 meter close focus distance, I don't like it. I would have preferred 0.7 meters, even though this is a vintage inspired design. Apart from that, so smooth, beautiful to operate. No complaints whatsoever. And it's of course got this classic focusing tab. Again, in practice, people don't like it. What happens is you focus somewhere close to infinity and then it just snaps into infinity and you have to press this button to get it out of infinity. I know why Leica changed this design back in the 60s. I never looked back, but again, for a vintage inspired lens like this, I do get why they make it, because it just looks so sexy. I can't blame Thypoch for doing that in these lenses. They did it also in the Cymero lenses, which are much more modern inspired lenses, but they changed it there, thankfully, to a modern focusing tab. But here, in this case, yeah, it fits the style, so I think it's okay. Go figure. In terms of performance, I'm very, very pleased. I shot this both on color film and also black and white film, and yes, I can confirm it just is a perfect blend of the old and the new. The lens is super crisp and sharp, already at open aperture. It's not super clinically sharp into the 4 extreme corners at open aperture, but frankly, you're not looking for that if you want to shoot a lens like that. The bokeh is really nice, and I would say it's really on the top level of 50mm lenses in terms of performance, but still it has a little bit of charm to it, and I value that so much, because personally, I don't know, I don't like these super clinical renderings of some ultra modern lenses. It's almost too much for me. I don't know, it's too perfect. And this one is 95% of perfection, maybe 90%, I don't know. But so it is super sharp. You feel it's a high quality lens, but it's not overly so. And especially on film cameras, I do absolutely like the look of this lens. Also, vignetting is absolutely what you expect. There is some vignetting, but it adds to the look in this sort of lenses. You have to have some vignetting. And even much more modern designs are not really better there. Chromatic aberrations are not bad. Everything is really good. This is a high quality 50mm lens. It is better than a lot of vintage designs. And sharpness, super good, even right to the borders of the frame, as you can see in these shots here. I don't have any complaints. It's crisp and clear and sharp, and images look beautiful. I'm kind of surprised how well they do it, but yeah, there are no complaints. The natural alternative to this would be maybe a real 1950s lens from Leica or a Canon or something. There are perfect lenses out there from back in the day, but you have to find them first. I think this will be a little bit sharper and especially more contrasty at open aperture compared to such a vintage lens. which is maybe very welcome. And also, the problem is, of course, you have to source these old lenses. You don't get 1950s Leica glass in a good condition for free. You're looking at the same expenses than this. This is about 600-700 euros. And still, you're always not sure how the condition is, if there is no dust inside or lens separation, all these things, you name it. So shooting vintage lenses is super, super rewarding. I'm a great fan of that. But this, of course, gives you all the fun with the amenities of just buying something brand new. And I cannot look inside this lens, so you always have to take that with a grain of salt. I think the mechanical construction looks to me very, very perfect. But of course, again, I cannot dismantle the lens. I'm not a mechanic. To say to you if it's really as good as a vintage 1950s lens from Leica, which was a super, super high mechanical quality. But to me, it looks every bit as good. That's all I can say. Time for the verdict. And as you can maybe tell from watching this video, I'm a real fan of this lens. I think they did a really good job here at Thypoch. I love the design. I love how it looks on these cameras. I mean, look at it. What can I say? I love the dimensions. I love the details and the design. Most of them, I would have preferred a clicked aperture and 0.7 close focusing. But apart from that, this is absolutely the sort of lens I would want to shoot on a Leica M camera. It doesn't matter if analog or digital. Compact, nice to look at, classic design, but still optics that are just on par with modern style photography. So really good lens. I'm a big fan. I do love the sharpness. I like the bokeh. I don't think it excels in any of these. There always will be other lenses that are similar, but this gives this nice combination. Everything is super, well, it just comes together very well in your photos. And again, it's got a beautiful classic style on it. I still think that shooting real vintage lenses, of course, is something super special, and I would never recommend against doing so. So if you've got a vintage Leica 50mm lens, it's a gem. But if you don't, and it's hard for you to source one in a good condition, then just consider one of these, because they will get the job done. They look beautiful, and you won't miss anything compared to shooting a vintage glass, in my opinion, apart from the knowledge that the one is old and this is new. But there's nothing inherently wrong with that, you know. I mean, Leica M6s can also be new. I'm a great fan of this lens. I think Thypoch did a real good job there. Highly recommend it. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, maybe even found it useful. If you did so, then please leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. Many thanks for your support. If you've got any questions or comment, write something in the comment section below. You know I love to read all your comments, and I will happily answer every single one of them. So have a great time, live long and prosper, and I see you in the next one. Bye.